Really happy to be here to present Stratagem and to see all the cool update of all the on-chain game. Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's get to it. So basically, Stratagem is a persistent game where turns are simultaneous and they last 24 hours. And one interesting thing is that player play styles of different factions along with token of value to capture more from the other player. And from this very simple set emerge diplomatic relation among players. And what is interesting here for this session is the fact that there is a world map created at the consequence of this. And the idea is that you can use this map to create your own game. And so this is an example of this is a map currently on mainnet base. And so the gameplay you basically put token of value. So right now it's like a fake token, but it could be ETH or anything. And the land is infinite, and you have this kind of set of faction, but you can choose any faction you want at any time. You are not stuck into one. And basically, there is a kind of basic rule, a bit like a game of life, and the way is that you lose life or not. And when you reach 0, the tokens are distributed to the neighboring faction that attack you. So yeah, it's kind of play like that. You have like 23 hours to commit, claim your winning, strategize with allies, place new tiles, and kind of wait for this period to be over, and then everything gets revealed during a 1 hour step. And you see basically what the others have been doing. Maybe your allies did something you didn't expect, and you kind of all this interesting thing with this hidden information mechanics. And the rule is like if you have a single cell, then you grow in life, which is represented by these little houses. And if you are fighting each other, both of you are here. In that case, they are going to lose. In which case, they both each get the gem of each other. So it's kind of cancel out. You have more different pattern for attacks. For example, the red here is losing nothing and is winning over the blue. You can read more detail in the doc. And one interesting thing, there is this kind of the concept of the Moloch kind of faction, which is one that happens when you don't coordinate with your other player. So it happens when two players, because it's a commit reveal scheme, so you don't know where others are doing, and you could end up in the same cell, in which case it becomes black, and here two players have been played black, like a different color or the same color, and so there is two things, so double the stake to capture. There is a trailer here. I don't know to. Yeah, a little trailer. Basically, it's just an accelerated version of what's happening between two players, one playing that's it. Okay. And so the current status is that alpha is live on base. There is like 50 players that join, but more like 10 players actively playing. There is a leaderboard in place because it's alpha. There is no real money at stake, but there is a $1,000 reward at the end. So lots of learning already. Still significant work to make it more easier to play, etc. But this is how it started with some seeding world, and now players are playing. Actually, the map is much bigger because some people decided to go very far that way and very far that way. So one thing that I want really to improve, which here doesn't really represent well the game, is the theme, because the idea of the theme behind is that you are a god and you can create land, and you can associate spirit to this land, which is represented by the color. And the idea is that you can think of the spirit as the spirit of the mountain, the forest, and you could see that map being created looking like a real world instead of what we have in the castle case, because I want castle to be part of what you are going to build, hopefully, with new games, not the base game. And so the unique aspect here is you have a stake at risk, which kind of prevent the Sybil issue, and can. But the very interesting thing that player communicated about this with me, the fact that they really like the fact that they can change faction at any point, which is something that you don't find in other game, where you normally play a faction and you stay with it. In that case, you can actually play red at one place of the map and something else later, or you can even switch your color. there is only one action, and the game is persistent and immutable. And immutable is interesting here because we want to have immutable so that we have composability. It's basically what I want to explore, and hopefully some of you want the same, is the idea of natural composability. The idea that you start with a world that have completely immutable rule, and that allow people to compose with it because then things don't change. But the world is more than the rule. This is kind of the, when you recognize that, you realize, yeah, of course I can then modify that world by just adding new rule that can't affect the existing rule. And so there is few ideas that I will present here, but basically you can think of a stratagem as giving you data points, which is a faction spirits that are on these tiles, whether you are being decreasing life or increasing, so whether the house is in fire or not. And there is also a gems token, which is just that have no utility in the base game, but can have an interesting utility in the other game. It's just produced based on how many land you are in control, which are growing in life. And you, of course, have the one who created that land. You have that data point as well. So one inspiration is like Ozymandias. I don't know if you know, it's a really cool game. Same simultaneous turn. Civilization also you can play in simultaneous turn. So, and the idea is that you use the spirit or like the mountain, the tile as this, and you can build another game using that. But the cool thing, what's happened, because we are building on top of a live game, with things changing, it means like player on the base game can suddenly affect what is happening on civilization. Like suddenly you have mountain, you were happy, you build a mine, and suddenly someone said, no, now it's grassland, and you are, oh, my mine doesn't work anymore there. And so, yeah, that's kind of interesting relationship that get created between the two player base. Another kind of game would be Advance War, where you have like using the increasing, so whether your like house is on fire, you don't produce unit, or you produce at a lower rate. And if it's on the contrary, producing, you have more units. So again, now player of the base game can influence what's happening, and you have this kind of two-way relationship between the two. And you can spice it up with hidden moves. So with like Griby from Tonk is a tool to make that easier. And the why is because like suddenly, like in Stratagem, you already have a hidden information mechanics, which is a delay of 1 turn. But with hidden move, you could have like your unit moving around in Advance War where the other player don't know where they are going, and suddenly you have to wait multiple days to see what's happening. And on top of that, you can have, it's on top of the games as well, but you can have interesting coordination mechanics, because now you have this two-player base. How do you make sure maybe you want them to work together, so you can have a smart contract owning the land in the base game, and have like somehow like an Harberger tax that is so for people to use that on the other game to get then to use it efficiently. And the benefit they get from the Harberger tax will be, for example, a fund to defend them on the base game. Yeah, I mean, I think what is interesting is that with Autonomous World, we go over this. We were in blockchain, we have stuck into the phase of what I call like immutable ownership. You get your NFTs, and that's it. Like kind of boring. You have it, but nothing happened. But with Autonomous World, suddenly you can have ownership of things that are basically contingent to you playing. And so that open up all these interesting use cases like Harberger tax with the concrete things to do. And another thing, because I don't have like the resource to make good art, is to think of a theme and maybe draw some cool thing about maybe the spirit mountain to create that cool map, or even your own theme as well. Everything is possible. And there is a website that kind of have everything, the doc, the developer doc, and you can also play on base. You will need some fake token that I happily give you. There is also a testnet version you can play with. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.